Hi, my name's Lost Ninja. You're watching Lost Ninja Plays, Scrap Mechanic. Creating this video as a response, or because I saw something else, basically. And I've been watching a YouTuber called ScrapMan. He makes gaming videos, rather like myself, although his are a lot better, and he's got decent music and, graphics and stuff. So, not like mine at all. But yeah, basically the same sort of idea. And I found him whilst looking for, what was I looking for? I was looking for piston tutorials and stuff when they added the piston to Scrap Mechanic, which is the most recent update. And I just sort of, I'll look at what he's doing, look at what other people are doing. I found his, like them, watched more of them. Anyway, in the end, I found, well, this morning when I was looking for something completely different, but still in Scrap Mechanic, I found the video I'm about to show you. I'm hoping I'm not going to get into trouble for showing you his video. I'm going to show a clip, bits of it. And he's making a multiple wheel vehicle. Let's see if we can get a clip of it that's sort of like just the vehicle itself. And yeah, so basically it looks something like this. So and I've been trying to make something like this in Scrapyard Mechanic. I don't own the game that he's made this in, which is called Trailmakers. So I can't make it in that one. And my computer isn't as good as his, so it sort of if mine did that, it would crash probably. So anyway, yeah, that's basically what I've been trying to do. And I think I came up with something. So anyway, this is I don't have any game sound either, which is a pain because I put my headphones on and that doesn't work. Right, this is the prototype, and this sort of works. Oh, that's what I was looking for when I was looking for something. What I was trying to do is work out how you could drive. So if you look at this, okay, and you look at the pistons behind me, yeah, I can change the direction of the vehicle. I can't move. Oh, yes, I have got engines. I was going to say I'm going to engine on this one. And it works, sort of. The problem this one has is the suspension is garbage. You can't hear that, no. Because my suspension often is. So I'll show you in stream. I mean, I'm probably not going to make mine available for download. But yeah, I'll show you in stream how it works. In stream, in the episode. I'm not going to get that to go where I want to go. And I want to go. I'll tell you what I will do before I go any further. I'll show you the one I started off with as well. Which was that one, I think. Yeah, this is the first one. And as you can see, it's the hydraulic steering, which is what I built it for. This is based on one I got off the this one actually works quite well for the actual steering part of it, but the wheels don't grip very well because there's no suspension at all, and because of the way it's designed, if we look at it, yeah, there's no get rid of that one. I don't need that one. Right, so if we look at the suspension of it, or the lack of, yeah, so if this bit's flat on the ground, but the ground under here is not at the same angle as this ground, yeah, some of these wheels are going to be off the ground, so the same on there. I try to alleviate that by putting suspension on the wheels for that one. And it works a little bit, but the suspension's not great. Anyway, if we get back into this one, take you over to this one that's in front of us here. It goes quite well straight forwards sometimes. So look, all my wheels on the ground at the moment. It's using gas engines, which is not... Yeah, gas engines, which is why I think it's a bit on the poor side. It needs something a bit stronger. So yeah, this thing over in front of me is what I came up with as a response to the snaky thing that I showed in that video, and also as a response to the using this thing. Right, so that basically doesn't work. This one, however, does. The wheels are modded, but the rest there's no other mods installed. So I've got the same steering mechanism for the wheels. If you look, I'll show you how that works in a moment. It's not quite finished because of the way the. In fact, I'm not even certain that one's this. I'm not certain that. Oh, the one that's under here. I'm not certain that one's going to work. It should work, but it doesn't seem to be. Oh, maybe it is a bit. It's still not what you'd call quick. I could speed the engines up though. The problem, I think, is the fact that the pistons don't actually have enough power in them. And it's quite a heavy thing, this. All the blocks are, obviously, they're all made out of metal. I could change that, make it lighter. But as you can see with this one, even on quite rough terrain, I don't know how to make it zoom out further, but or zoom in further, for that matter, if it's even possible. As you can see, even on quite, well, not rough terrain, but rougher terrain, I've got the whole thing shifts, so the wheels remain in contact with the ground. It's not really fast though, is it? And then it'll automatically straighten itself out. I'm a bit puzzled as to why it's quite so slow. It wasn't this slow before. I'm wondering if I've managed to load a version. That's why. I've loaded the version where I haven't updated the engines. I'll go through the connections in a moment. And the reason I say it's not quite finished is because I built it in sections. You know, I've still got a bit sticking out the front, and because of the way these things work, they're not perfect. I'll show you this section on its own in a minute. I could reduce the strength of these, which would mean it would actually hug the ground a bit better. I can't remember how many wheels I've got now. It seems to be a bit laggy, but I think that's just because this thing is actually quite a laggy thing, and that's the back end of a section. So, but yeah, I mean, you can see overall the whole thing. It's a bit, you know, it's a bit more. Let's see if we can go a bit faster this time. Yeah, that's better. It does also mean it turns slightly better as well, I find. Because you're going a bit faster. The pistons seem to be able to sort themselves out a bit faster. Well, I have a feeling that... Right, let's just stop. This one here is the wrong way around. I don't know why it's the wrong way around, but it is. So if we... I'll show you the actual thing in a minute. In fact, it might even be that all the ones at the back are the wrong way around. I don't know. No, that's definitely the wrong way around now, isn't it? Oh, that was another experiment. Right, I'll go and put that back the way it was. It's because the piston's not strong enough, so that sometimes when you when you try and do it, they don't work very well. So basically, when you connect pistons to the controller block things, you can no longer do anything with the piston. The piston actually becomes completely intangible. You can't click on it, you can't use it, you can't do anything with it while they're connected to these. But if you actually look at the... I'll tell you to come out of that so we can lose some of the lag. If you look at this, we've got a rotation editor. Now that's piston 1, which is the one, this one here. So that's its maximum extent, and that's its minimum extent. I'm not certain what happens if I change those. I haven't tried anything with that, but what I've got works, so we'll go back to that. Okay. Yeah, so that should all work again. So obviously just forwards works fine. Going around the corner is great. To go and find some proper rough ground. But it will drive over things quite happily now. But it wouldn't do that before. That is a bit laggy. The physics. And there's failed experiments all over the place as well, which doesn't help. Trying to work out how a steam train does it. You know, runs the pistons and stuff. And I didn't manage it very well. But yeah, that's basically all I've come to show you. I will go through the actual... Just going to save that because I'm going to start a new world to get rid of some of the lag. So let's just put it there. Well, I can show you a bit on this one, I suppose, right? So if we look at the connections, ignore these ones at the front here because they're not actually connected to anything at the moment. So yeah, as I said, you've got that's a control. Sorry, that's a sensor. That's a controller. That's your piston, and the sensors are triggered by this little block going over them. So as you a bearing under there, which is connected to your controlling. Yeah. So as that swings to either side, it activates these triggers, and these triggers then activate this, which changes the extent from 3 as standard to 1. So when that's on, this one here wants to change its extent to 1. It doesn't cross them over, so it doesn't. What would be nice in a way would be to say, and I don't know how to do this. I'd have to use logic, and I'm not good with logic. But yeah, and I'm not even certain you could do it. Yeah, we might be able to do it. No. I think I'd need to put another. I think I'd need to put another sensor, maybe upside down on top, to drive another one of those to drive in reverse. So it's a bit that's overkill, really. So anyway, yeah, as you steer, these things rotate. Let's just save it so it's out of the way. Let's call this crawler, because it's more of a crawler, isn't it? Crawler, lost crawler 1. We won't share it yet. We'll share it eventually, maybe. Maybe. I've never shared anything on the internet before. Right, so if we go back into the, it's not as easy to see now. I put all the top structures on. If we how do I point at things? I can't point at things. Right. Once I'm back in the chair, if we watch this one here, in fact, if we get the painter out, we'll paint those so they're a bit more obvious. I've no idea how to use the painter. Okay, that's the. How on earth do you use the painter? I've never used it before, ever. Never needed it. So blah 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 blah. Is there not a thing about painting? Must be a thing about painting. Sprint, crouch, zoom. Oh, Alt and scroll wheel to zoom. Right, that's better then. Must be something about painting. Connect tool, driver's seat. Oh yeah, right. Thrusters, triggers. Come on, there must be something about painting. I don't know how to paint. You can't get very far away, can you? Right. Oh well, we'll just leave it white then. I wanted to make everything. I think I've painted before. I think I've painted before. Anyway, if you can see the white thing now, and if you look at them, there's the ones on the other vehicle. Obviously, they're not white, so they're not as easy to see. But as you, so I'm pressing my D key now. So I'm turning right. So all of those little blocks are turning right too, and then all of the pistons are trying to turn the vehicle right. Obviously, if you notice, the lighter section at the back and the front he's turning faster because of the it's lighter. And forward and backwards just work like you would expect. Once they're moving, the pistons work a lot better. But anyway, let's just start a new quickly start a new world. Creative. I think we'll test world 2. I don't like the those are the wheels I'm using. FLX tremendous wheels because they're great. Basically, I love them. I love them. I do. Right, got it. I wish you'd save your ooh. Don't like this. Let me find somewhere a bit flatter. Start off with. I don't like the fact that it doesn't save your not your inventory so much as your splat. Right, so let's grab your toolbar. I use it quite a specific toolbar, and I want it to always go back to where it was, sort of thing. Right, so this is the full thing in the new world. So we've got the it should be a little less laggy now. And it now works. I wouldn't say it works identically to ScrapMan's crawler in a completely different game, but it's very similar. And dare I say it, a little bit less. It has less problem with the one he did. You'll have to go and watch the video. I'll put the link in the description. The one he did, you would have problems so that if the joints that linked each part together got too much change to them. Doing that, the front wheels would flip over, or whatever. It doesn't turn very quickly going backwards, but it's going up there quite happily. It's going up there. Is it happy? Could not possibly say. I sort of wish you could make the pistons stronger. They actually have more force in moving. And it's a bit laggy still, but yeah, bumpy ground, no problem. Which is what I was trying to make, basically. Oh, no, it doesn't like that. I think it's just a bit too steep, that bit of bumpy ground. Let's see if we can get up this one instead. Let's see if I can... Oh, there we go. I can zoom out a bit further. There. Oh, that's so much nicer. I love that. That is just so cool. Steering's still not perfect, but as I say, I think that's more to do with the how strong the pistons are and how fast you're going and stuff like that. You see, in the game that ScrapMan was playing, if he did that, the front of the vehicle would flip up and go round, and the whole thing would twist and break. You can do that with this particular design, but it's not going to happen easily because of the way the suspension's set up. It's actually designed not to go too far. Right. So anyway, let's get off that. I'll show you the single section. It's a bit easier to see the extension then. The single section looks like this. It's not perfect. It doesn't have the engines on. But anyway, yeah, let's look at this. Right, so it's got... I'll just show you a couple of things. It's got these things sticking off the bottom, and they are literally to mean that when you take that out, it doesn't... Oh, when you do that, it still stays fairly flat. So once you've placed them and built the stuff, and you have to go up and get them back again, and that's not connected to a seat. It would be nice if there were an item you could place down, for sake of argument, that looked like that. So I could put an item, say there. I could then link. Oh, I hate this new toolbar. I could then link that to there. I mean, I can't obviously, and then that would be linked to the thing. But it would mean that everything on this section that linked to that, when you link that to the driving seat, would link everything. Yeah. So you can make a completely functional section apart from the driving seat and then yeah, stick them together. So this basically works on its own, but without a driving seat at the moment. Let's pop a driving seat on it, and I'll show you what I mean. Obviously, it hasn't got any motors, but we can't have everything. So if we link the driving seat to that pivot there, you look, this thing's now in the right place. You can actually see it just by walking over them, to be fair. You see, that one's now retracted. So this is in state 1. Go to that side and that retracts. So yeah. You could do it to reverse it by some other way, but yeah, it's not worth it, to be honest. Just zoom in a bit. So if I managed to place that at an angle. At such an angle, I mean. Oh, I think I placed it on the pivot, that's why. Yeah, so if you look at that, we've got the yeah, so that's basically it. And then keep pressing the wrong buttons, that's the problem. I've been playing so much Minecraft recently that when I try and do something that isn't Minecraft, I'm struggling. Okay, the first one you place is the hardest one. So, yeah, what you basically want to do is connect with a welding tool, which I haven't got out. Redesign it, obviously, so you've got motors on there and stuff first, but yeah. So, you connect that to... Oh, you can't do that. I always forget that. You don't need to see this anyway. I'm sorry, but you don't need to see this. Anyway, what I actually got this bit to do was to show you the way the suspension stuff works. It's actually really, really simple. It's the closest I could get to a two-dimensional joint. It's not exactly uncomplicated, and obviously it needs to be have these on. Right, so basically we've got a joint here. Right, let's just get rid of that so it's not as visible. So let's get rid of that and that. And that. And that, just so we can see what's going on, basically. Right, so we've got a joint there. So there's a pivot on the other side of that. I think we can see it if we do that, can't we? Yeah, so there's a pivot there. That means that this bit and this bit, bearing in mind the wheels are on this, connected to this one. This one can swivel like that, and of course there's the shock absorbers here and here. So it can't. It's shock absorbed and sprung that way, and it's shock absorbed and sprung that way. There's no downward limit on that one, because obviously there's a shock absorber on the other side, so it doesn't need it. So the other pivot, which is the forward to back, so that direction of movement is off this pivot and this pivot. You could probably do it with just one pivot, but I think that putting two pivots on like that makes it look a bit more realistic, logical, whatever. And that works pretty much as you would expect, to be honest. Obviously, it's not going to work like this because of the thing. The only difference in this one is because there's nothing to stop it going down again. If we let's see if we can do this. I don't think we can. Oh, I know we can. I'll show you how. I'll do it. I will do it. I promise. I'll do it. Honest gov. I'll do it. Right. There we go. Yeah, you see how it's bending forwards? It won't go too far forwards because of these bars here. It can't bend that way more than the limit of that bar. so it can bend a bit, but it can't bend like that, which it would do if you got rid of them. Ergo, well, not ergo. What do I mean? Ergo, it's like a plant, isn't it? Yeah, it will fold quite a lot more, which is fine when you're using really big wheels to an extent. But the other problem is, of course, that once you start doing that, you lose the these things stop working as well. And that's most often that's what happens is it'll go like that, and when it flips back again, it doesn't go into these properly or something. So yeah, that's basically it, and that's all I've got to show you, really. You could probably expand the length. You could probably do better logic for it. It's just the way I've got it. You could certainly do something at the front and the back that gets rid of the various extra bits that I've got at the front and the back, because I haven't finished it. I just thought I'd get this video done and out and stuff. So yeah, that's my ScrapMan all-terrain crawler with hydraulic steering. That's a good name for the video, isn't it? ScrapMan. No. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, link to the video that I've got some of the inspiration to on the in the description. I'll put a link to the oh yeah, hell, I'll share it. Right, so I'll put a link to this. I'll put a link to the section. I'll put a link to the video. I'll put a link to the thing that I found that actually demonstrated how this is done, although it doesn't do it quite the same way I do it. Probably because the guy that was doing it knew what he was doing, and I don't. not the suspension. I figured that out on my own, but the way this hydraulic steering system works. So yeah, and then basically until next time, that's me. Cheerio.